Greetings. So I'm glad you finally met more of the Soul Tribe, and it goes back to what I said. If you put the intent, the wish out there, you're basically magnetic and you will attract towards you. I was thinking maybe I should give an overall sort of broad view of this reality, which is the best way to go with this. On the one hand, you have the childlike wonder. You're not making any judgment. You're just like a child. It's just like a sponge. You're taking it all in. A lot of what you're taking in is still very much at that spiritual level, the tones, the colours that are radiating out from the plants and the luscious greens in spring, for example. But then, if you tip the scales a little bit and turn childlike into childish, look at what you're faced with that is basically controlling this world. And it's off the scales. But how are we going to fix this? You want answers? Well, I'm trying to give you the results. I won't do anything. I won't advocate anything I'm not prepared to put myself through. Was it that tennis player, John McEnroe, kept saying, "You cannot be serious. You cannot be serious," every time the umpire told him the ball was out. It's just another one of these silly rituals, because they're like trophy hunters. Like a narcissist, it wants the attention, it wants to be in the limelight, it needs to feed on that energy. There also is the answer in, you don't give it the energy, stop feeding it. It's like flat earth, come on. Now forget about the physical shape or anything. Look at what is being shown there. Flat earth, Fe. What is the atomic code for? Iron, solid, brought down, and of course divide and conquer, because, well, you're clutching on and defending a belief, something you feel you know to be right, and they're not. They've got a different perspective on it, a different opinion. They're the other side of that mirror, the other side of that veil, as it were. It's divide and conquer. Perfect. You're working for the system. But Independence Day, I think it's Jeff Goldblum and I forget the actor's name in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It may come. Independence Day, where you're being kept in dependence. Things are getting harder and harder to do for yourself, like growing your own food. It's all by design. But in showing you that, it's also showing you the answer as well. And they've got this, in this story, in Independence Day, they've got the alien spacecraft. And Will Smith, that's it. He's a pilot, and he sort of does the joystick the wrong way, and the spacecraft goes clunk, and it's like, oops. And Jeff Goldblum is going, "What do you mean oops? What do you mean oops?" And then next thing, all the lights come on, I think, on this flying saucer thing. And it starts sort of going off, I think, if I remember right, it starts going off on its own, and Jeff Goldblum goes, "Perfect. It's taking the uplink. This is just exactly what I wanted to happen." And then Will Smith is like, what do you mean? It's drawing us in. You didn't tell me about this." And Jeff Goldblum goes, "Oops." So let it be known in public that some of this ringing in the ears is Wi-Fi. Some of it is distortions in frequency, because if you keep things to a narrow band, like eyesight, hearing, not seeing the bigger picture, the non-physical world, only seeing the solid material, which most do. You're being capped off, you're being firewalled. It's by design, so you don't see it. That's why most people don't see it. It, of course, needs being open-minded as well, rather than being closed-minded, because you're open to the astral, the cosmic, fresh ideas, and so on. So, where am I going with this? Yeah, so this is a game of chess. Now, it's not the white pieces against the black pieces in all the ways that is shown, because it's a pincer movement. It's warring factions. It's an inbred family, basically, that settled some things in the bedroom, and some they get humanity to participate in, because of course it makes money and it keeps the numbers down. That's what Rogam shot is all about. RH0 game. The one's more likely to have worked things out, because you have this reserve stock. If you start inbreeding too much, you start getting defects. You need to start correcting things. Think of it like a bonsai tree. You want the plant to grow a certain shape in a certain way. You trim branches. You influence the way that tree is going to go. You get it going down a line that you want, where you want it to go. So you trim the branches, but you've obviously got to graft these things back on to correct things after a while. So hence, want a certain number. Yeah, they need us. And so that's it. My apology part is I've been testing things out. It's going crazy at the moment, the sensation, because it's blood and intent. If you take a blood sample, and you can take that blood sample 50, 100 miles away, you show the person pictures, horrific or whatever, or things that make them happy, trigger an emotion, that blood that's 50 or 100 miles away reacts immediately. There is no time or space problem with it. So imagine if you flip the polarity on that, and you let your very distant cousins know, because some of you have picked up and said, I'm like green bile, I'm evil, I'm a reptilian, well, it's draconian as far as I can tell. It's irrelevant what labels you give to it. I feel it coursing through my veins. I've got sufficient resentment and hatred in me. They could feed off that. So how far am I prepared to go? I am deadly serious. Not deadly to humanity, because humanity is very spiritually underdeveloped. But it would be like looking at the child that's got Down syndrome or cerebral palsy, the most loving children you're ever going to get. All part of this experimentation, of course, for them. They are sick beyond sickness. Some of this, shall we say, these spiritual downloads, it's in the blood. I know how they think, I know how they tick, because I can think that way. But my intent is very different. I'm not the only one. So I don't give a shit if they... But if they try and take me out, they feel it, because it's all connected by the blood. They know that, I know that. What a beautiful game this actually is. Yeah, I have an ancestor that, not that far back, that came from, shall we say, a wealthy, very wealthy Italian family, to the point where couldn't even wipe their own bum because they always had servants to do it for them. So I feel it coursing through my veins. So it's a bit like Spock, half Klingon, half human, using the logic, and the emotions are very much suppressed. I suppose you could say in that way I am like Spock. But I found a balance, so I have the compassion of the Dr. McCoy as well, because I want to save people, I want to help people, I want to heal people. Because none of you deserve this, really. And I'm talking from the mortal perspective on this, because from the immortal perspective it's very different. put it into a mortal concept. You build a kit car, for example. Well, are you going to just leave it sitting in the garage, or you've built this thing? Do you not want to test it out? Do you not want to Do you not want to push it to its limits? If you know that you're eternal, does it really matter that you're going to go into a tree? And while we're on this, I was talking to Claire about this as well. This whole thing where people get the taste for speed. So you're doing 100 miles an hour down the road, and then you slow down to 70, it feels very slow. That's a subconscious memory of being a spirit where you could fly. That's all it is. It's a thrill, it's a sensation, but it's a subconscious memory of something when you weren't in a physical form that you could do quite easily when you were free to do things as well. So I'm going to push this before long, because it does need pushing a little bit more. It will, the dark side will, the childish ones will either evolve or they will destroy themselves. But because I feel connected to them, and they either see the error of the ways, or I'll give them myself to them. I've got enough resentment to keep them going forever. In the way they have gone about things, but it needs to evolve, it needs to change, and that is what is happening with humanity. It is spiritually evolving. We'll go with the Rudolf Steiner here. Sorry, this is quite an overload. The days of the week, even those have been shuffled. So we go with the Steiner explanation, because it's just saying the explanation, the mystery, the story. Don't worry about the labels as such. But Saturn, Saturday, it's the warmth, the first element, which is shown as fire. Then Sunday, the sun. That's the light. So you've got the fire and you've got the light. So the sun is like a fireball, is it not? Now you've got the watery moon element of Monday. Now the next day, I think, if I remember with the way I worked it out with the planetary things, it will be Wednesday, which is Earth. Wednesday, Wotan's Day, is a ruler of the gods in this realm from Valhalla. So you've got, you're on the Earth, and then you've got the Earth element. So there's your 4 elements. It's heading, this is a sort of the next step. This is humanity version 6. Is this post-Atlantean age, as it were. So it's going to the 6th chakra. And this is what this spiritual awakening, seeing with the mind's eye thing, is all about. It leads on to, I think it's the Jupiter or the Venus. It's all exciting. I don't mind what label you want to put on it, but this is where it's going. It goes to its completion, to its 7th, because there's another one to come after that. So this game is going to keep playing out for a long, long time yet, in the linear sense of it. But my advice is, think of the cross with everything that is shown to you. It's a mirror, and it reflects both good and bad. So you'll get people come into your life that you feel drawn to, you want to aspire to be like. You get shown the opposite of that, the ones you think, oh, why have they come into my life? They're showing you the other polarity of showing you how not to be. Now you take what's shown with all these media scripts, start listening on the linear and the vertical axis, so it's forming a cross, and start seeing both sides of what's being said, the mirror speak as it's called. Remember, it's also stacked in layers. How do I explain this? There's varying levels. Like Romeo and Juliet, the balcony. I mean, it features a lot. The Pope steps out onto a balcony. The royal families come out onto a balcony because they're higher. They're actually lower, but they like to show you that they're higher. They love that attention, of course, and all the braiding and all the accolades, all the medals, all the Golden Globes and so on, all the superficial nonsense, because when you go down that road, imagine whatever your favourite food is, you're going to get that for breakfast, you're going to get that for lunch, you're going to get that for dinner, you're going to get that for supper or whatever, midnight feast. You're going to get pretty bored with Ferraris and champagne, and it's going to become a living hell. But look at the duality of it. It looks luxurious, it looks lovely, but it becomes its own hell. You need both. You can't have light without dark. You can't have the crest without the trough to a wave. It's all duality. You just got to weave your way through. See the good in everything, because there is a good in everything. Let's take things that have happened over the last 2 years with restriction of freedom of movement, shall we say, and if you've used your time wisely, that's the time to be able to go into meditation. You're having rising costs and things, feeling the stranglehold of this, but does it not make you more appreciative of the things that you have got? I mean, are you sort of reaching up, trying to build castles in the sky, the unattainable? Or are you drawing towards you what you desire? And once that veil goes of chasing that material wealth, like Tutankhamun, you cannot take it with you. It all remains here, it's solid, it remains in the solid realm, and nothing is added and nothing is taken away. It might change form, it might start off as a tree and be turned into a book, for example, because it's all about death again. But out of that also there's the positive that it can impart wisdom and things. The irony of what we're talking about here in the spiritual sense, if you think about it in the dimensional sense, we're communicating in 3D, which is actually 4D, because don't forget time is an illusion and space is an illusion, so there's 5 dimensions straight away, but it's being communicated through a device, a scrying mirror, and it's actually 2-dimensional. It's becoming more shallow, as it were, because it has no depth when it's through a screen. But really just close your eyes and use the real sight, which is feeling. Things are absolutely off the scale at the moment. You've got this whole Easter festival where people have been fed a fish story. Well, that's perfectly fine if that's what they want to believe in. That's good luck with that one. As I think it was a game show called Catchphrase with a guy called Roy Walker, and he'd say to the contestants, "It's a good answer, but you're wrong." Find the joy, find the humour, lift the spirits, is it not, as well? But yeah, the Disney film, Walt Disney, Welt is deny, the world in denial, because it's an illusion, it's a cartoon. And a film called Young Merlin, and the way they get rid of the old gods, the Lady of the Lake knows the time is up, her alter ego, the Black Queen, is worried about she's losing, see the darkness is losing through its own doing, and they turn their back on her. They give her no attention. That if you want to get rid of a 10-headed hydra, then starve it. I mean, because it doesn't seem to have a heart, but I'm prepared to go to the heart of it. It's shown to me in Sapphire and Steel, and it's shown to me in the way Neville Goddard talks about it. God is playing all the parts. Every character in the Bible is God playing all the parts in the thing that he's created, like the car, to build the kit car, and now you want to experience it. So playing all the parts, you've got Sapphire, you've got Steel, and you've got this character called Tully in Mission 2. Tully is going to die in a couple of years anyways. He lives alone, he's only got his cat, and Steel talks to the darkness, this dark entity, and says, look, basically I can give you Tully, there's enough resentment to feed on there for an eternity. Rather than trapping more and more souls and feeding on their resentment of their life was taken away too short or whatever. And Sapphire is saying, oh, you can't. That's the compassion. That's representing, Sapphire is blue. It's divine feminine. Steel is, well, he plays the part, David McCullum, very well. He's as cold as steel. It's pure logic. So if I'm an aspect to God and I'm playing all the parts, and like I've already said, I'm deadly serious, I'm also playing Tully, the one that's given to the darkness. And I am quite prepared to do that. If that's what it takes, fuck it, I'm all in on this. There's no point shilly-shallying and doing half measures. I don't care how crazy it sounds. But also playing the part of Christ. Is that not giving up the man life, the life of the human, to save humanity, to show it's, well, why not? If we're emulating Christ, you've got to be prepared to do that. I'm prepared to do that. And it's not an egoic brag. It's not the results I want personally for this physical being, but the bigger picture, the unconditional love side, says go for it. So that's the path I'm on, and I know I see things. I've fast forwarded the film, as it were, because don't forget, the power of thought, you create. It's thoughts, words and deeds. And something else that's mentioned often, the world is ruled by symbols and whatever. Don't forget that letters are characters, they are symbols. Well, I'm going right to the end, the A and the E, the fused A and the E. The amp is sound, the power is in the sound, in the vibration, it's in the feeling. The internal world is absolutely fine. Even with what's coursing through my veins, through the sort of, what do we call it? That tree of life, that branch that I stem from, that cyst stem. It's not in control of this universe. The He Art, our Father who art in heaven, He Art is a heart. Where the real gold is, inside in each and every one of you, if you choose to find it. Seek the kingdom, seek the keys to the kingdom within, and all will be given to you. It's so simple. Start listening on that vertical. I mean, when you look up in the sky and you look at the Great Bear, you look at Orion, are you telling me that you're actually seeing a grizzly bear? Are you seeing a human being? Or is that just a man's label interpretation? So now I'll take it on the religious script. Alright? Do you really think it's that literal? Come on. Think about this a little bit. Use your God-given gifts to really see what is being shown to you. I mean, stop worrying about who that person is and what their name is. You don't even know yourself who you really are. Most of you don't even know which way's north because you don't know which way is up. You look on a map, up is north is at the top. So surely that way's north then, is it not? So that leaves 4 cardinal points, east, west and south. So what's the other one? If that's north, well, that means that one must be south. So now I've got 4 cardinal points on the linear, but I've got 2 points on the vertical. It's magnetic. This is like being a sniper that has got the sight, got the target through the sights, and humanity keeps just stepping in the way. And I can't shoot when there's innocents. I'm not doing a slaughter of the innocents. Bloody hell. That's the crazy cousins, the psychopaths. But look at Hannibal Lecter. Look at all these psychopaths that are shown to you in films. They are highly intelligent, but they lack compassion. Hannibal Lecter has a fine dining dinner party, and with not so much as a blink of an eyelid, he's put the carving knife through the one of the dinner guests' head. I think in the, I can't remember if it's in the film or the series. But it is that blatantly shown how that side of things thinks, how they operate. And they just carry on as normal, like nothing's happened. But they've got that lifestyle of wealth and fine dining. But how boring it gets because when you start getting into that gated community lifestyle, you're now fearful that somebody's going to try and steal that from you. And then you turn that one up on the scales and see where that one goes. You're fearful of your own brother and sister that they might try and steal it off you. Look at the way it's shown with royal families as well. The last thing the future king wants is siblings. They're a threat. They're next in line to the throne. They might actually want the throne. Jacob and his coat of amazing colours. His brothers hated him for it. How many ways is this shown? The same story over and over again. But what a beautiful game, really. I'm in the best place I could ever be, in the best environment I could ever be. I'm experiencing all of this in the way I want to experience it. I'm writing the scripts as I go. And I'm showing you that you put the wishes out there, you get the alignment right, you just go for it. Take a leap into the unknown and just have that belief in the inner core. You'll be all right. Try it. Just try it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. It's all about experience. So go out there and experience it. Spread the love. We can change this world. David and Goliath, it's the smallest pebble against the biggest giant from the most unlikely place possible, or the most unlikely character possible. It's not a giant taking on a giant. You don't fight fire with fire. It came from a place of love. That little spark, that little star that is right in the centre of your heart. That's where it is. So get out there and kill them all with love. Ta-ta for now.